Good morning, my creative friends. I'm thinking I'm going live here, but I am having some issues. Excellent connection. All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning. This is Dr. Minette Riordan. This is Painting in Your PJs live with Minette here early on a Friday morning. And I have recommitted to my book project. I'm super excited about that. And I was looking at some of the pages that I had been working on and realizing there's elements that I need to practice. So welcome, welcome. If you're joining me live, if it's your first time or you often stop by, I'm Dr. Minette Riordan, and I was having a little tech trauma this morning. It wouldn't let me edit the video, but if you're here live, let me know you're here so I know that everything is working properly, and I'm all hooked up. So Painting in Your PJs is all about using art as a process for personal growth. And good morning. Awesome. Welcome. Okay, I am live. Beautiful. And I am working on illustrating a book. Hi, Judy. Good morning. Good morning. Jackie, good morning. And this book is all about the woman's midlife journey and how we can use creativity to go on a new kind of hero's journey that's a little bit different than those hero's journeys that we were taught about maybe in school, or if you're familiar with the work of Joseph Campbell, or if, like me, you're a fantasy fiction lover of books and movies that are always about hero's journey, like Star Wars and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. And if you notice, those are about young people setting out on an adventure into life. And it doesn't really apply to me as a 59-year-old woman other than as a consumer. But my own personal creative journey tends to be much more of an inner journey, much more introspective, much more about deep reflection, which is one of our 6 keys of a creative renaissance. And as I was sort of looking here at lettering and at banner styles, I realized that one of the elements that's going to appear on these pages with these 6 keys are these banners, and that I needed some practice drawing banners. So if you love bullet journaling, sketchnoting, or an avid, you love to write in a journal, then grab a pen and a piece of paper and play along with me. Hey, Barbara, good morning. And we are going to practice drawing some banners today because I have banners everywhere, and all my banners were kind of ending up sort of looking the same. And I thought, there's all different kinds of banners. So I had some fun just getting on the internet this morning before I got started and looking for some images of different banners. And I found a wonderful article, and I will go back and link to the article on bullet journaling and all these different amazing styles of banners that, I really hadn't even thought about. So I thought it would be a good idea for me to spend some time this morning, probably just take half an hour, and have some fun drawing banners, because sometimes I think that where I get stuck in the processes, in the details. And I know that the only way through feeling stuck as part of a creative process is practice, practice, practice. And this book is requiring me to spend a lot of time in iterations and drawing practice. And so part of my 100-day project is not just working on my book, but getting better at some of the elements of illustration that I know I want to be hand-drawn and appear in my book. Also, here was a page of fun ideas, fun things I hadn't thought about. Well, Minette, bring some of your zentangle designs in. How can you make things a little more playful? Or I like this long flowy one, or look at this really fun flag and this flag. And it made me think about different approaches to designing a page, because as I focus on, good morning, Yvonne, working on the next step that I want to work on is finalizing the illustrations for the 6 Keys of a Creative Renaissance. And I only have the sketch for one so far, and it's just okay. Oh, you're so sweet, Bonnie. I love it. I love Zentangle. It is definitely something that's near and dear to my heart. And super, super excited about our Carousel of Creativity class right now and watching all the beautiful work everyone is creating. So this morning, draw along with me and let's practice drawing some different kinds of banners. And I'm going to start with super basic banners and then kind of go from there, because I love being able to kind of create that round ribbony flow, and I find it a little challenging. So one of the things about drawing banners that I learned that made so much sense but didn't occur to me up front was to write your words first and to draw the banners second. That's the secret to not running out of space in a banner. So I'm just going to call this page Banner Practice. And I want to have lots of fun hand-drawn elements, and I need to make sure my handwriting is always readable too. And I just did that fun long swoosh on an R, but I don't really want something that's going to hang outside of my banner. And I think it's so important to fall in love with our handwriting. I seem to be attracting a lot of private coaching clients right now that want to write a book. And I've been having fun helping people with their thinking about the book, with how to, lay out and set up books. And, was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and she has this amazing idea that I will not share until it's ready to be shared, but also has some illustration elements. And my first question was, do you like your handwriting? And it's so funny. It's one of the things that I remember is how often I hear people say they don't love their own handwriting. Now, I went to private Catholic school from about 3rd grade till halfway through my sophomore year in high school. And handwriting was a big deal in elementary school. So I've always felt like I had nice handwriting, although of course it's gotten messier as I've gotten older, and I have to make a little bit more of an effort. And I still have cards and letters from my grandmother. Or my mom, right? I recognize their handwriting just about anywhere. And so I want to encourage you, as you're working in your art journals, banners are great in art journals as well, to really think about this idea of handwriting and making your work your own. It's a big part of what I stand for, is how do we find our own voice and our own style. And so handwriting practice is another really fun thing to do. So we'll probably do some of that as well. So the first step to drawing a banner, and this is just a straight banner, is to write the title, draw a nice, more or less even rectangle around it. And then the second step is I'm kind of marking here about halfway down the edge of that rectangle there. Zoom in just a little bit more. And we're going to draw out this way. Then I'm going to go ahead and come down here maybe just about 1/4 of an inch in. I'm going to draw a parallel, a vertical line, and then I'm going to bring that horizontal line over so that these two lines match up, right? So we want these to be the same length over here. And I always forget the steps. I need to, like, I know how to draw banners. I practice drawing banners, and then I always forget because I don't draw them that often. And I think sometimes it's just that remembering to practice is so important. And then I'm going to make this like I have snipped a triangle out of that ribbon, and that triangle point is going to line up with the bottom of the banner there. So finding some of those drawing points can really help us with our perspective. So there's one little triangle of our banner. And then we need to make sure this banner is connected, right, to our, or looks like it's folded and not separate. So the next step is to draw a straight line from the corner of the banner, or a diagonal line from the corner of the banner to the corner of this angle down here. And then we could put some lines, or we could shade that in completely. And that simple step is how it really makes this banner look like it is folding back in on itself. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do that same thing on the other side. And I love using my pencil for measuring, so if I want these to be even, I might just use my fingernail and my pencil and then come back over here. I'm pretty good at eyeballing things, but to make sure those lines are about the same, about 1/4 of an inch in here. Again, lining things up. I'm not using a ruler. I'm just using, my eyeballs. And then we're going to have that line come out so that these are about the same. Again, we're going to go across here to create that triangle so it looks like we've snipped a triangle out of there. So we want the two ends of our banner to match. So this one is a much more precise kind of squared up banner style. And it's a style, and I'm trying to find what style of banner do I like? Do I want to include in my book? What I like about this one is the neatness of it. But when I think about, well, what would I want to see in my book? I think I would want more round, flowy banners. So let's try some round, flowy banners and see what we can create. So we're still going to work in that same exact method that we've used. So this time, though, that triangle is going to be, or that rectangle is going to be a long S-curve. And when I'm practicing, I like to draw big. And then I'm going to, just like in Zentangle, I'm going to aura this line, but it's going to be a pretty fat aura. And I want that to be, more or less even. And then I'm going to continue with an S-curve here, and then a bit of an S-curve down below. And notice all these, or these are C-curves, sorry, not S-curves. Notice that they're all curving in the same direction. I'm going to mirror that at the top, and notice this is at about that halfway point here. And they end at that same point. I got a little off the edge of the page there. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did before, but this time rather than all straight lines, our lines are going to be just a little soft and round. This is the style of banner I like the most and I struggle drawing the most. So we're going to have a line go from here to here, but instead of that line being straight, again, we're going to round that line. And then we're going to come in and again, kind of aligning this, have that triangle, and that's going to give us that rounded banner. And this line is straight, but it's bowed, right? To give that sense of that round ribbon. Let's try it again over here on this other side. So again, we're rounding this just a little bit. And then we're rounding this curve in instead of a straight line. So notice these were all straight angles. These are all just slightly round. And then we're going to add either line work or shading to make it look like, right, the light is shining on this part of the banner. So this, I would say, would be my preferred type of banner, and where I was probably, trying to go with some of these other banners, but because it was a draft, wasn't putting a lot of time into figuring it out. And notice the mistake that I made was these came right out of the side. They didn't wrap around, right? So there's elements and lines that are missing here from that drawing practice. So these look much more realistic. I can even create a double banner. So we're going to challenge ourselves a little bit. Who's drawing along and finding this fun to draw banners? Anybody but me. I love this kind of drawing practice and am always amazed anytime that we practice drawing anything of any kind, it has a positive impact on other areas of our art. I get more steady with my hand. I get more confident in my line drawing. Got painty fingers this morning because I'm so glad, Barbara, it's not just me. Because I had that big coyote painting and I knew it just wasn't quite finished. So I was fussing with it this morning. And at one point, I'm like, Minette, you need to stop or you're going to mess it up. And so the more that I come over here and practice in my journals, drawing and sketching a variety of kinds of things, then the more likely I am to feel more confident at the canvas. Okay, so this one is interesting. So I'm looking at the samples over here. So we have two rectangles that are the same length and about the same width and same height. And instead of adding the ribbon triangle outside, we're going to add it right into this same rectangle. So again, I'm just kind of eyeball, what that center point is. So my ribbons are about the same. Meet those triangles at the end. My lines here are about the same. My lines here are about the same. So getting some of the evening. Well, Yvonne, it is really early for you to be up lying. Yes, I'm glad you're still in bed. And oh, that's hilarious, Carol. Cuddling with your puppers does not leave much room. Yes, my cats are always so insistent in the evenings about wanting to sit in my lap when I'm wanting to draw. It's an ongoing battle, especially Georgia. And I can even, round this up a little bit to make it a little more interesting and maybe not so precise. Just those little tiny tweaks and changes can add to that hand-drawn element of things. All right, so then this time we're going to make it look like these two ribbons are wrapping around each other. So we're going to draw a line from the end of our ribbon to more or less the halfway point here. And then we're going to draw a line from the far end I think I want that to be a little narrower. So we're going to come in and make that maybe even a little bit more of an angle. And then again, this is the piece of the ribbon that's behind. And then we get a different kind of visual, a different kind of visual. Oh, yay, I'm so glad it's spring break, Yvonne, and you don't have to be getting kids off to school for a little minute, hot minute here. That's fantastic. All right, so I'm going to do one more kind of classic banner and then maybe move into some of these more different playful type of banner. And it helps me again to build muscle memory the more that I practice drawing these banners. Does anybody have a favorite shape or style of banner? So this one we're going to do kind of a convex C curve. And we're going to aura that C curve just like we would in zentangle. And then we're going to round the edges. Definitely liking rounded edges much more than those straight edges. And I'm looking at this one thinking it would be, yeah, this one is definitely a favorite. And I did a banner in my 100-day journal and it's super wonky. Well, my first ones were super wonky also, but I definitely like rounded ones better than some of these straighter ones. And this one feels really fun and like it would be perfect for my page on deep play. So we're going to continue just in the same style that we have. So about that halfway point. In this one, all the lines are just slightly rounded. They're just slightly rounded. I'm going to have that straight line down here. And when I'm drawing these other pieces around the bottom, I want the height here to be about the same height to make sure it looks like it's the same ribbon. And this one we're going to add some long tails to, so that one actually feels a little bit fat. You guys are hilarious. Your puppers are all holding you hostage this morning, but a cup of chamomile tea sounds delightful. All right, so I'm going to try this one again. I want this line to not be quite so long, and it's actually maybe a little further in here. And then we're going to have this line over here, and this is our shadow. And then we're going to add even one more ribbon on here in the same style that we did this one. So I'm going to pull this down again even more. We're going to bring this line down and around. Everything just slightly curved to give it that really round, playful look. And then I'm going to go always from that corner back up with that roundness, right? Starting from that corner and rounding it back up. And then coming in with lines or shading. And then we get this beautiful sort of flowy banner as well. All right. So I don't have room over here to repeat that, but I'm going to at least add that first line there. Made that one a little bit longer. Again, I'm a little bit round, coming around that corner and shading it in, and then we'll just have this one go off the edge of the line. So halfway there, rounding that corner, coming and rounding here into that space. And then we get this really fun sort of double, triple ribbon. Yeah, isn't it fun? And so this one feels like it would be perfect for my page on deep play. And if you remember, we talked another time about lettering inside of banners or a space that maybe you've already drawn, and how do I make letters fit in the space that I have. So I want to write deep play in here. This is an easy one because it has 8 letters, so I know I'm going to want 4 letters on this side and 4 letters. It does look fancy, but it also somehow feels playful to me. So I'm going to start here. And my letters are going to not be straight, but to flow with the ribbon. Right? So notice how those letters are slightly rounded. And over here, I'm going to work my way backwards instead of left to right to make sure we get that spacing similar. And that's funny seeing those. Hey, buddy, I know. Like, it's animal morning. Are you coming up? Yes. He's desperate for attention this morning. He needs his morning snuggles. And I can see already that I have drawn all of those a little bit too big. So that's where that just practice and lots of drafts come in. But having our lettering kind of mirror, right? So that feels a little over full. So what if we tried some lettering up here? And I went that other direction. Again, just having fun with kind of some of the directionality of that banner, letting the letters look like they're wrapping around. So that one looks a little bit better. A little bit, not quite there yet. So getting the banners down is one part of the process, and getting the letters down is another part of the process. But now I have in the book where I'm doing all of my drafts for my book, I have the examples of the banners. But what about some of these flags also feel really fun? And I'm going to have to redraw my big sort of adventure map here pretty soon because I have added to it. So using kind of these same principles that we've already learned, I can draw like a big, what are these kind of flags called? A pennant, something like that. I'm forgetting the word right now. And I want it to kind of look like it's blowing in the wind, so we're going to have those curves kind of match each other, almost as if we were still drawing a banner, but that banner is moving in the wind, and that banner is attached over here. To our flagpole. This reminds me of the ones in the old stories of knights where the knights would be carrying the banners, right, of their kingdom. So that one's kind of a fun little bit wonky one. I think there's room to play with this one. And now I'm wondering if my character maybe needs who's traveling in the book, she needs her own banner. And all of a sudden, I just kind of had this intuitive sense of what if her banner had a sunrise on it. So we can have some fun with these elements. Oh, I love that. Not room to do banners, but learning to fit the lettering into the spaces, right? Fit the lettering into the spaces. So this is a fun one. And then we can, right, work on that design. We can come in even just with a tiny, small little bit of effort, start to create some roundness and flow in our designs. I also love this one, which is a hanging banner. Again, they all are very similar in look and feel. So this one feels more like, a tapestry banner or some kind of announcement banner. And I love street banners of all kinds. So I definitely want this space here and this space here to be even. And then we're going to do that same triangle that we've been doing. So I'm just going to sort of eyeball the center point. So I kind of know where I'm going here. No rulers needed because I want them to be just that little bit of wonky. And this is another one we can have a lot of fun with the style. This is one I can see taking some time to maybe add some decorative elements. So maybe I would come in and put some scallops around the edge. I love old illuminated manuscripts and beautiful old tapestries, or women who would crochet and knit. I had beautiful sheets that my stepdad's grandmother had made where she had tatted the edges of the sheets and the pillowcases. And just that little bit of attention to detail and making things festive. Making things festive. Yes, Diego, I see you. He's sitting in my lap, like staring up at me, little goofball. He's like, why aren't you petting me? And maybe this might announce a new chapter or an activity. And I think I would want this to actually look like a pole, so I would probably want those lines to be darker. And if that fabric is sort of hanging over the top, I would want that to be just slightly rounded. And now I have this fun space to announce something. So on the underside here, just a little bit of wrap on the underside. But yeah, that's a super, super sweet one as well. And then things can be simple. Like I have a tendency to want to really complicate things and make them extra fancy. But what if I kept them simple and playful, right? So speech bubble style. And then maybe I come in and add a little wonky frame to this one, and then it starts to look maybe a little more like a postage stamp or a photograph or a sign. And it's so we can just add such simple elements to things to now I've got a festive sign of some kind. Or I could do something a little more playful and fun. So we're going to use that same scallop pattern. Little more space between them, almost like crescent moon from Zentangle. Very classic pattern, but such a versatile pattern. I'm going to add those inner auras. And what I've learned about my own creative practice over the years is the benefits of slowing down. And then I love in this little sample page I printed out, they have these little whimsical marks on the page. But if I made them more zentangle-y, then maybe I would come in and round them off and make them look like fescue. Things don't have to be neat and tidy. So what can we do to just make them a little more festive, a little more hand-drawn? Hello, greetings from Switzerland. Good morning, or good evening. It's evening for you as well. The Oracle session from Monday is there waiting for you for sure, but fun to have you here live. Thank you so much. And then just like in Zentangle, we want to think about, contrast and drama. So a lot of the banners are, they're kind of flat and simple. So how can we just have a little bit of fun here? Now I'm getting messy. Moving fast. I love it's afternoon. Aw, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I love those Monday morning sessions. Definitely makes me want to do more of those. So there we have kind of a simple page of banner practice. Now I feel a little more ready to dive back into illustrating some of my pages. Now I can go back to that draft of even this page, right? Like this could be on one of those elaborate banners that had multiple sections on it. These could even be those, how fun would it be if these were the long, skinny banners? And same with this one. Now I know what to do to fix this banner up to get it going. And this will be an easy drawing to recreate. And as I'm thinking about this, and so where do I go from here with simple practice like this? Here's a few more from that article. I love the banners and boxes. Look how cute it is where she combined these together. I will link to this article in the description of this video because she has a video on how to draw all of these. It's probably better than mine. And so now I have this inspiration. I will stick these printouts in my journal as well. I love these scrolly ones, and this would be a really fun one to do on some of my map elements. I love the little conversation box and the one that's wrapped around a circle. So there's so many different directions you can go with decorative elements like this, no matter what it is that you're creating. But now I feel like I have kind of that inspiration and idea where I can start to go back in and draft out some of those other pages. And one of the things that I am working on is creating templates for myself. So one of the things I did with the deep reflection is think about, what are the sections of the page? Because all six of these are going to be the same, right? And but I don't want them to be exactly the same. So maybe on one page, the illustration is on the right and the words are on the left, and the same over here. So we want to create visual interest even as we're flipping through a book. So if I were going to come in here and work on one of my favorite keys, which is deep rest. So I'm going to start drafting out this page. Now it's going to go a lot faster to be able to create those banners. So the rounded banners, I'd actually rather draw the banner first and then the words. So I think there's going to be more practice for each of those. And then that little swoosh there. So this could be a little bit fatter. And knowing this is just a draft page, I don't have to work super hard at getting all of my angles right in this one. And every time I draw it, it's just more practice. So deep rest. So maybe I'm going to do, if this was a right-hand page instead of a left-hand page. And I mentioned earlier that I'm working with a few different clients private clients on book writing right now. And it's been a super, super fun project. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday, both the projects are really cool, but one of the things that we talked about yesterday was, do people write in books? So one of my questions for you this morning is to, if you had an interactive book like this one, would you write in the journal, or would you rather have all of the prompts and then you would work in your own journal? Big question. So do you buy, journals with prompts and write in the journals, or do you buy journals with prompts and then write in your own journal? I can tell you what I do, which is I buy lots of fun blank journals with all kinds of prompts, and then inevitably I end up not writing in those. Either they have lines, or I don't like the paper, or whatever, or they're great prompts and I want to save the prompts. And so I end up writing in my own journal. So I'd be curious. This feels like it needs some of those. What would you do? Would you want a book that you could write in, or would you want a guide and then you would write in your own journal? Awesome. Yep. You like to write. Okay, so we have 50-50, right? So in our two votes so far, some people would write in the journal, some people would write in the book. So I want to think a little bit here about deep rest. So for me, my favorite image of deep rest is always a hammock hanging between some palm trees with the beach. You prefer your own blank one? Yeah, so lots of different opinions. So I guess the secret is to create it so that it can be written in and encourage people then to write in their own journals. Because it includes art prompts, there wouldn't necessarily be space for all the prompts in there. You would rather write in your own journal, Bonnie. Yeah, beautiful, awesome, so helpful. So when I'm thinking about designing an image, we want to think in thirds, right? So 1, 2, 3. So we don't ever want our horizon line to be right smack in the middle. We want to create visual interest. So I'm going to have my shoreline is here. This is going to be my water back here. And then there's going to be this hammock. With one of my fun little stick figures kind of enjoying lying in the hammock. Maybe they got a foot hanging out, right? With their hands wrapped up. And so there's a simple illustration. Yeah, that totally makes sense, Jackie. And I can tell you why people don't do that is because of printing cost, right? If we started to add all those extra pages, what happens is that the printing costs go up so much that people then don't want to buy the book. So there is my vision of what deep rest looks like. And when I talk about deep rest, what I mean is always absence of input. It means I'm not listening to music, I'm not watching TV, right? That I'm sitting, daydreaming, I'm not reading a book. Sometimes I'm drawing when I'm resting, but there's no external input. I'm at home with myself. Meditation could be that. Sometimes it might be a nap, but most of the time, what I mean is giving our brain a rest from the just absorb amounts of information that come at us every single day. Awesome, Yvonne. You prefer your own journal, but you got one with prompts, right? Yeah, thrift stores are so good for that. So absence of input, non-doing, learning to simply be with ourselves in silence are all ideas around deep rest. Could be meditation, could be yoga. It's not always non-action. It's the key is this, I'm not allowing other things to come into my field of knowing, right? To come into my field of knowing. And then for each of the 6 keys, there are some journaling prompts. And then for each one, there's also always a creative prompt or an art prompt. And there will be some kind of little fun hand-drawn sample of what that might look like, and then a description. And then I get to decide if there is a space also for doing the work in the journal or not. And I'll just have to figure that out as I go along. But your input is so, so valuable. This for me is always the thing that creatives are missing when we talk about adding, when we talk about creative blocks or wrestling with our inner critic or being in a moment where we have a lack of ideas, usually what we're missing is deep rest. We're spending so much time in input, we're not allowing our own ideas to develop. We're caught up in other people's ideas. Love pockets in journals. In fact, this client I was talking to yesterday, she was like, how can we get a pocket printed in? Like moleskin journals have amazing pockets. My beloved Hanamulla journals have big pockets in the back, and I love pockets. Yes, exactly, 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 Barbara. Lying in the hammock. Beautiful. All right, my friends, I think that is it for today. That felt like some great progress on my 100-day project with our banner practice and then starting to put that practice into place. Your lap warmer is on the move. I know I always feel that way when the kitties jump out of my lap as well. Have a wonderful weekend, my friends. I will see you on Monday morning for our sacred Monday mornings and Oracle and mandala coloring time. Excited to see you guys. Thanks for being here with me. Thanks for helping me to practice and verbally process as I work on my book, Befriending the Dragon. Thanks, guys. Bye, everyone. You're going to dream of banners now. Maybe they'll sneak into your art too, Jackie. Enjoy. Bye, everyone. Always great to create with you too, Bonnie. Thanks, everyone.